I was reading about the technology outlook for Nordic schools, and those are schools in Denmark, Finland, Norway, and Sweden. And they are ahead of the global curve in integrating the emerging technologies. When I was looking at the 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year plans compared to K to 12 schools, Nordic schools are planning to adopt technology implementations in 1 year that K to 12 schools are planning in 3 years. And then the 3 year plan for Nordic schools looks more like the 5 year plan for K to 12 schools. And of course, they have intended technology integrations for Nordic schools that are not even on the 5 year list for K to 12 schools. So I'm interested to know why Nordic schools are ahead of K to 12 schools when it comes to technology implementation. But some factors may be the rise of STEAM learning, treating students as creators rather than consumers of information, and the growing popularity of blended learning. So maybe we can analyze the success in Nordic schools and apply some of the ideas to K to 12 schools to better implement technology. Now, Rita.
Yeah, I would agree. And so I looked at the 2017 Horizon Report for Higher Education. And to kind of go along a little bit, correlating with your report, FIBA, the two things I looked at were the deeper learning approaches. So that section talked a lot about how we need to move more from lecture-based to inquiry-based learning and project-based learning. And so we've seen kind of a rise in that over the last few years with the STEM, more schools moving towards STEM and now STEAM, adding the arts into it too. So that helps the kids be, more in charge of their own learning and helping them with technology skills and other skills they're going to need for the workforce today. That looks a lot different than when we were growing up. And also the other topic that really went kind of with that was blended learning designs. So as we know, since we're in a completely online course for technology, a lot of universities and stuff are figuring out how to better utilize technology to make our classes and our degree programs more available to students, and also helping them to gain the skills that they need for better jobs once we get our degrees. So they started doing like hybrid courses where it's part face-to-face, part online, using different digital learning platforms and things like that. So I felt like those two aspects of the report really went with the empowered learner standard that we talked about, so that, students are the ones in charge of their learning, where the educator is more the facilitator. So that's kind of a synopsis of mine. So Ashley.
And then, so I also focused on the 2017 Higher Education Edition, Horizon Reports. So kind of like you were talking about, Rita, I was looking at rethinking the roles of educators, right? You talked about some of our professors, and even here I work, at an early childhood center, and thinking about some of the teachers, and it's just like a mind shift, mindset, right? Like shift that we have to do now. Technology is advancing. We kind of got to get on the bus, right? And continue in the right direction to be able to support all of our students here in early childhood and also in higher education. So there's a lot of efforts underway to kind of help educators be able to transform their current practices, which is something that is difficult because it's new, it's changing. I actually looked at another additional resource that was like a Mythbusters, and so a couple of things that stood out to me, and this is something that I can take into my profession right now. We're actually planning for the next school year, right? So when thinking about introducing technology, one of the myths was, like all technology is great. Some teachers think that they have to use every single new thing, or school districts also come out with like, oh, the latest, greatest, we're all going to use this, so just about, teachers and professors need to find what works for them. They know their classes best. So finding the technology that meets the needs of their learners. One more that I will address is that technology turns students into zombies. So, just they were just saying that, you know, if you feel like this, then you're not doing it right, right? That technology in the classroom should turn students from passive to active learners, thinking about like workstations. Many of us are educators, you know, so having that opportunity to provide students with like project-based learning, maybe some students working on digital projects, and then you still having that interaction with students, you know, that shouldn't go out the window. So just a couple of things that I plan to continue to look into. And then just as thinking about the ISTE standards, you know, I think that empower learners and also us as coaches being able to assist teachers to move in the right direction and be able to effectively use and introduce technology is really important as well.
I agree.